signal to the reader the kind of story that the author will be presenting to them. This is why the skillful use of subversion of tropes can be so entertaining. But even the most delicious trope can go stale like an onion left in the fridge too long. What are our best techniques for keeping a trope fresh? How do you know when not to use a trope, even one that's important to your chosen market? Should we be discussing tropes over genre when it comes to writing? Again this week, we get another great classic episode of CL Canon's Indie Connection. CL brings us books that you may like if you're a fan of Anne Rice's The Vampire Chronicles. Then we round out our episode with our epilogue, where our panelists try and determine my literary identity in 20 questions. So hang your linens in the breeze and grab some air freshener. Time for another This Week in Indies with your host, SM Hillman. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another This Week in Indies. I'm your host, SM Hillman. Hopefully you can hear me okay. All good? Good. Welcome, everybody across Earth and in the outer colonies who are listening here. And thanks to our deep range colonies who are catching this broadcast downstream. I'm SM Hillman, and this is the October 13th, 2024 edition of This Week in Indies. And we are live from Deep South Con. Yay, Deep South Con. It's almost over, so there's not too much going on. Before we get too deep into talking about tropes, I want everyone to go ahead and introduce themselves and tell us all a little bit about yourselves. If you would, we'll start right up here.
I can't hear.
Oh, yeah, can't hear you.
Ariel, we can hear you.
No, not yet.
No.
No.
No. I apologize, folks. We've had a little bit of technical difficulties with StreamYard this morning.
Do you want to try somebody else, Sean?
Yep, we'll go ahead and move to Wayne. Go ahead, Wayne.
Hello. Please tell me you can hear me. Just your luck. I'm the one you get to hear.
You can hear Wayne.
Hi, everybody. I'm Wayne Trammell. I am in Las Vegas this morning. I am the author of 6 novels, half historical fiction and half urban fantasy. The latest is the finale of the Johnny Lycan Werewolf PI series, Johnny Lycan and the Last Witchfinder. And what the heck else do you want to know? I don't know. There you go. That's the wonder that is me.
Cool. Thank you so much, Wayne. Tiff, let's go with you.
I have to unmute for you guys to hear me. Hi, I'm Stephanie Vega. This is what you get when you watch, This Week's in Indies Live. I am an author, a multi-genre author of 5 books currently, and we have our newest book coming out, Christmas Chaos, on Black Friday, and it is with my new publishing company, Outsider Publishing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Juliet?
Hey, everyone. You can hear me, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, good. So I'm the author of 10 current books, with the 11th coming out hopefully tomorrow. I'm still editing right up to the end, as usual. You can find me at authorjulietrose.com. I'm a multi-genre author, so I write a little bit of everything. And I do a little bit of publishing as well. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Juliet. Ariel, how are you doing? No, not yet. Oh, no.
Maybe if she went out and came back in.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that'll be. We'll get Ariel back up here in a second. So when Ariel comes back in, we're going to go ahead and our first question is going to be.
Forgot me.
You forgot Brian.
Oh, Brian, I'm so sorry. I'm apparently I'm on the naughty list this week. Brian,
I'm like Michael Jordan. I'm gonna take that personal and like do something athletic. Nah, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Brian, thank you so much. Go ahead.
No problem. So I'm Brian Tan. Theoretically, I'm a multi-genre author as well. 5 books currently available for purchase: 2 urban fantasy, 2 sci-fi, and an erotic crime thriller. With a few other genres in the works. If only I could make my brain and my muse work together.
Okay. Oh,
Ariel's back.
yep. Ariel's back. Ariel, what do you? Can we hear you?
No.
No.
No. Well, you're unmuted, but we can't hear you.
Try again.
Right. I organized everybody. Tiff is good.
She might want to try to use her phone like you did.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll go ahead and get started. I remember I'm using my phone, so I can't swing wildly. Okay, well, let me move it over. So our first question is going to ask for everyone is, what is your least favorite trope? One that you avoid like the plague when you're doing genre writing, or any writing, really.
Ooh, I like this. I just actually had this conversation with my daughter in the car because we were talking about tropes, and I really don't like the huge age difference. You know, like the really old man with really young women, or really old woman with really young boy. I'm just not a fan of those tropes at all. Even though I should say I am 14 years older than my husband, so I kind of live that trope, but I don't like reading about it.
It's your little secret, Juliet. For me,
Just Wayne
it's
Bryant?
where somebody.
Okay.
For me, it's where somebody narrates their own death.
Oh. Yeah.
It drives me crazy. I can't stand that.
So I guess Menace to Society isn't your favorite film then. I don't like the I'm so cool, I wear a trench coat while riding a motorcycle trope. That annoys the hell out of me. I actually almost fell into that writing my first novel, actually. So, yeah, I don't like that.
Impractical clothing makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like, Edna says, no capes. All a trench coat is a cape that doesn't go around your neck.
Right. Yep, absolutely. Ariel?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So Ariel, if you would go ahead and just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then tell us your least favorite trope.
All right. Well, one thing about myself is I'm cursed with technology, but I am Ariel Dawn. I write primarily monster romance, paranormal romance, white shoes romance, a little bit of everything, really. And did you say my favorite trope or my least favorite trope?
Least
favorite.
My least favorite trope. Secret baby. I'm not a baby fan.
Ariel hates babies.
Ariel hates babies.
Ariel hates babies. Yeah, we will note that down.
Esme Cullen sucks.
I write in romance primarily. So there's a lot of happily ever afters or there's like a secret baby or like, the miscommunication of like, I'm pregnant and I'm not going to tell them. And that just drives me crazy.
Yeah. I've always hated the cliched forced conflict in like rom-coms and like romantic. I always hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep. Agreed. That's one I don't care for rom-coms in general, but that one in particular, yeah.
I am learning to hate The Chosen One.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I am so done with secret prophecies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like tell me what you're telling me.
Yeah, and white savior. I hate that one.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Word of Christ.
I I feel like the chosen one has kind of like evolved a little bit into that, because I kind of agree with you. It's like there's a lot
They
where,
tend to hold hands.
yeah,
There's never a woman there's very rarely a woman that's the chosen one, and even if the woman is the chosen one, it's Anglo-Saxon going amongst us savages because we can't save ourselves.
I feel like there's a lot of it in young adult too. I see it more or less in a lot of young adult stuff. The chosen one
Yeah.
trope.
Why couldn't Mace Windu have been the chosen one? He could kick everyone's ass.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, good. Yes, you could. All right. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about keeping tropes fresh, though. So let's. What do you do when you find yourself, with like, okay, I'm going to have this trope. I'm just, you're doing it on purpose, obviously, and you're like, but how do you go about keeping a trope fresh? Tiff, let's start with you, and we'll work our way back.
I think adding like a new element to it, one that maybe is not seen all the time, will help keep it fresh. Like, say you are doing the chosen one, but you put a spin on it that is not a very common thing, like, making maybe the chosen one the person that we thought was maybe the bad guy at the beginning, switching it up just a little bit so it's not the same thing you keep reading over and over again.
Right. Awesome. And I'm sorry, I just got you solo mode right at the end there. So,
All right.
Brian, what about you?
For me, like all of my characters are black males. So even if I do write something that's air quote tropey, because my main characters are black males, that's not really mainstream. But also, I try to avoid what has become a trope in African American fiction, which is everybody is either street or a reformed thug or I just try to make people people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just that my main character is black. You like very rarely in any form of fiction do you get a black character that's an everyman. There's got to be something. He's either the wisecracking sidekick or the reformed gangster or something like that. It doesn't need to be that way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really helps, because I think that with a, and obviously I'm not a black man, but I would think that with a character who is not your typical, looks like me, that that gives tropes the ability to be fresh, right? To have different perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, it's just trying not to like I don't it's really hard in a lot of ways because you also don't want to like say you don't want to feel like you're also having to there's so many different terms for these things but when I was doing things getting into working and being the only black person there we didn't have terms. It was just you do what you need to do to get by. I'm trying not to like switch my voice as well. I can't remember what that term is now, but
Code switching.
yes, yeah. I'm trying not to do any of that either. Just let the character have his voice. Let the character be who he is, without feeling like he has to either a make non-black readers feel comfortable, but also not trying to portray a stereotype
Mm-hmm.
to maintain his blackness. And that's just things that I've run into in my own life where being told I wasn't black enough because of the way I talk or the way I dress or anything like that.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Juliet.
Yeah, so I think kind of going off what Brian was saying, I think good character development, good plot development, tropes happen. There's not that many original ideas out there, so we're going to fall into it at times. But I think having really good character development and plot development and plot twists can really kind of upend that trope on its ear.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wayne?
Yeah, the thing with tropes is that tropes are important, especially in genre fiction, because people expect certain things. So how much can you be, how much can you upend the expectation, right? We know that there's a chosen one. Anita said in the chat that she had a chosen one who's a grumpy immortal woman with a drinking problem. That's it. It's like the whole fun of being a writer is saying what if, right? So okay, this guy's the chosen one. What if he was a complete moron? What if he didn't want to be the chosen one, like he's fighting it tooth and nail? What if he's, the chosen one of a religion that he doesn't believe in? And if you just play the what if game, you'll find an interesting enough take on it that you can live with yourself writing within that trope.
Cool. Thank you so much. Ariel?
I think for me, I kind of want to branch off of what Wayne was saying with the what if. I tend to already be kind of a person who mashes their tropes together to try to kind of, I like to say play in the cauldron. So I definitely feel like for me, the way that I tend to try to keep it fresh, so to speak, is to kind of play the what if game, but also kind of see where I can kind of blend things together with something else. A lot of times I like to challenge myself by writing things that I don't necessarily like, because I try to find a way to go about it that's different, that would make someone like me like it. So if I wanted to write a secret baby trope, I would find a way to bring some other type of trope or some other type of character development into it and craft it in a way that maybe it would be a little less of one, a little less of the other, and something new. I do that a lot, actually, with a lot of the tropes that I write. I tend to take one from one tree, one from another, and kind of put things together.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. Let's go have a few comments here. AF Stewart saying hello. Well,
Hello.
Elizabeth was able to give us a sound check from afar. Thank you so much for that. AF says, I'm not a fan of the damsel in distress trope.
God,
Right?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, yes.
Yep.
That's one, too, that you can flip on your head pretty easily and make it a little bit more fresh, right?
I was trying to write a man in distress story, and I kind of screwed it up a bit.
AF
my
says,
entire life is having my ass saved by the women in my life. So,
And I was going to say, did he have a cold?
hey, with the hurting.
I think he sprained his ankle.
Yeah.
So, do you have okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm not a huge fan of the damsel in distress either, which is why when there have been times I have written it, I try to make it more of a personal journey, that maybe we start out when we're a little bit in distress, but by the end we're saving people, that sort of thing. I love to see the journey of that, and be able, that's one way to keep a trope like that fresh, is to, okay, how do we do it? How do we play into all of those damsel in distress things that go into it? And how do we subvert it, and how do we change it into something else, and maybe turn them into the chosen one,
Well, but that's a really good point, though, Ariel, because every character starts somewhere, right? And I write a lot where the guy starts out thinking he's an idiot and has no use, and winds up actually being relatively useful. I aspire to that personally, and so I like my characters do it. But then you got to start out being the idiot, right? You got to start out being the one in trouble, and then your character evolves through the story. So, to say I hate the damsel in distress trope, if the whole thing is damsel in distress and nothing changes except the guy swings in and saves her, I agree with you. But to start with the damsel in distress and then have her save herself, as a kind of classic example, is a good use of a trope that you don't like.
I mean, I didn't mind the Well, for me, being raised by a single mother, damsel in distress has always sort of irked me because I always saw my mom as a superhero.
Right.
But Terminator is a really, really, the OG Terminator is a really good example of damsel in distress turns into saving herself
Hmm.
and actually saving the would-be savior, because Reese would have given up and died 10 minutes before he actually died if it wasn't for her. And then she ends up being the main. I don't care what you say with Terminator 2. Sarah Connor is the star of that show. I don't care what you say. So, yeah. And then once Linda Hamilton wasn't involved, you see it all just went to crap until no one cared anymore.
Yeah, agree. So we're going to start with Ariel this time. So we talked about our least favorite trope, but what's one that you, not so much favorite, but the one that you tend to use for yourself a lot?
Oh, that's a good one. The one I probably tend to use for myself a lot is friends to lovers or enemies to lovers. I really love a good slow burn. So especially when there's like history there, I will read something. I would crap out of something like that. So I write it. I tend to write it a lot, whether I realize that I'm doing it or not. A lot of my characters tend to have relationships where they've known each other for a while, that sort of thing. So I definitely find myself using that one a lot. And enemies to lovers is another big one for me, probably because it's what I love to read. So it just comes out naturally when I'm writing.
That's a great question. Are the tropes that you like, and everybody else can tap into this as well when we get to you, are the tropes that you enjoy fueled by your reading more than your writing?
I think a little bit of both. It's because with me, everything is a blended thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that I grew up reading, so it naturally comes out in my writing. And then as I've progressed over the 4 years since I started writing, I've started to discover new tropes and things that I've liked. So then it naturally comes out too, blended from the cauldron, as I like to say.
Awesome. Wayne, what about you? What's your favorite? Where do you find the inspiration for it?
Oh, well, my favorite tropes are probably found family tropes. And it's interesting because I like my family just fine. I actually came from a functional, normal family. So it's not like there's something, you know, deep within me that I have to solve. But going back as far as the Three Musketeers, there's something about that band of brothers, band of people coming together that just makes me really, really happy when it works. And I think it makes for more interesting characters. It allows for more diversity of characters. It allows for more things. I mean, a family is going to be a family, and with very rare exceptions, or at least with fairly uncommon exceptions, they're going to look and sound alike, and they're going to share a background and all of that stuff. With a found family, you can really mix it up and bring in some of the natural conflicts and bring in people that ordinarily wouldn't be part of that story. So I'm a sucker for a good found family.
Gotcha. Awesome. Juliet?
Yeah, I love found family too. I'll say that because I came from a very dysfunctional family. So I'm a big found family, especially in reading. I like found family, and I think I tend to lean towards that. However, my favorite trope, I think, is the underdog trope. I really like seeing an underdog come and kick some ass. So that's mine.
Awesome. And do you like that both in your writing and your reading?
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I like the found family because that kind of a lot of times does end up playing into the underdog because often the underdog is an underdog for a reason. And so they get found family. And so I think those two really kind of play off. So I really do gravitate towards stories that have those kind of lines in them.
Awesome. Thank you. Brian?
I have to echo, I do like the found family. My family is kind of nuts. And so, a lot of my family is found family, so I'm a big fan of that. I also like when I kind of like it when main characters. I like it when the supporting characters are the ones that help the main character achieve the overall goal. You know, like OG Superman that could just end everything with no problem. I got kind of bored with early. You know, I like the fact that, you know, Superman has the Justice League because the Justice League helps him. Like, he needs them to get things done. You know, he might be the heavy hitter, but not every solution is a hammer, you know, or like even when you look at, say, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, as much as at times Buffy's personality would piss me off at times, if she didn't have Willow and Xander and Giles, if it wasn't for Xander, she wouldn't have even made it past the first season. You know what I mean? So I like the fact that even the powerful main character needs their backup to succeed. And I do like I love reading the Found Family. Nothing brings tears of joy to my eyes more than in the first Harry Potter, that first Christmas where Mrs. Weasley makes him a sweater because he wasn't expecting anything and he got it because she cared, and the fact that she was ready to throw punches with the kid's godfather over him.
Right.
And nothing gets me more than when she gives him the family heirloom watch. She buys Ron the brand new and gives Harry the beaten up one because he could buy his own watch anytime he wanted. But the fact that he got something that was with love, something that he never got, like that brings tears of joy to my eyes every day.
Awesome. Tiffany?
So if you read my books, a lot of it is found family. They are all dysfunctional and they find family. And then the other one is, I know you guys said you didn't like it, but The Chosen One. If you read my books, it's often somebody, or it's usually multiple. There's multiple chosen ones. So those two would be the two that I like to write, but I also like to read those two a lot as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, there we go. All right, it's working. All right. All right, so let's take a quick break and we'll listen to greatest hits from Courtney Cannon and this week's Indie Connection, books you might like if you're a fan of the Vampire Chronicles or vampires in general.
There's one right there.
Hey guys, Theo Kaden here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you another Indie Connection. This week I'm going to be telling you about indie books that you might enjoy if you're a fan of Anne Rice's The Vampire Chronicles. The first book I have for you is called A House of Cards by Savannah Sky. Welcome to the Undercity, where humans and vampires collide. When Hannah Spear comes to New York to mourn the death of her friend Cassie, she finds herself being tossed into the back of a car with a bag over her head instead. It doesn't take long to realize that her neat little life will never be the same. Everything she thought she knew about the vampire world barely scratched the surface, and the true underbelly of the city is rife with murder, greed, and betrayal. Even worse, some of the most lethal players in this macabre game of chess now have their sights set on her. The odds are bleak, but she's determined to team up with the sexy cop who rescued her, dive into the Undercity, and uncover the truth about what happened to Cassie, even if it kills her. The next book I have for you is called A Mortal Kiss by Laura Delio. Centuries ago, 10 powerful vampire gods first walked the earth. Their bloodthirst knew no boundaries. The destruction of mankind was inevitable. Recognizing their weakness, they selected 12 wise human beings to transform with their godly blood. These 12, known as the Old Ones, and the Council governed the 10. A blood lottery appeasing the 10's hunger was set forth in the human world and passed down every 5th generation, continuing into the present day. All of Beth Ryan's life, a mysterious mist has watched over her, a mist she believes to be a vampire. On a cold winter night, Philippe Delon, a 700-year-old vampire, walks into Beth's life. She is drawn to him, certain he is the vampire behind the mist. But is he? Beth and Philippe cannot deny their love for each other, nor do they try to fight it. Within days of their encounter, Beth accepts Philip's invitation to move into his mansion. The mansion unlocks the door to the vampire world and exposes secrets from Beth's past. Within its walls, she learns the true identity of the Mist, her link to the blood lottery, and betrayal of her loved ones. Surrounded by lies, Beth stands before the council begging for resolution. And the third book I have for you is called The Eternals by Richard M. Angers. Jean is the last vampire lord, and one of the last inhabitants of a dying earth. Born to immortality, their race now faces the waning sun. Some have accepted their fate, while others are ready to fight for their future. But when Jean commits the cardinal sin and takes the life of Princess Chantal, his life changes. Suddenly, he's a man on the run, falling in love and rediscovering his humanity. With the sun's clock ticking, Jean tries to reconcile his past, but instead stumbles into age-old conspiracies and beyond. And the last book I have for you is called Blood Fiend's Bane, The Vampire Queen Saga, Book 1, by William Stacy. In the medieval kingdom of Connacht, a long-buried secret is about to reignite a war. Bound in service to the noble Dane family, young warrior Owen seeks freedom and adventure. When a deathbed confession reveals the secret location of a long-lost weapon of great power, Owen accompanies a military expedition to the haunted ruins of the long-dead vampire queen Serena, who 50 years earlier almost destroyed the kingdom in her bloody rebellion. But a traitor travels with the party, one who knows another secret. Serena isn't dead, merely trapped, and he's going to set her free. Okay, that's all I have for you this week. I'll see you next week on the Indie Connection. Bye.
Awesome. Excellent. Another great indie connection from the past.
Can I give a shameless plug?
You may.
If you like vampire novels, The Hunted is the second book in my Path of Redemption series, which is a urban fantasy vampire novel. Let's see real quick. So Mr. Senya Blake is the head vampire in the Pittsburgh domain. When a mysterious group decides that she is too difficult to control, they set their sights on destroying her once and for all. But little do they know that she has enlisted the aid of the vampire enforcer Bryce Creed. When there are monsters attacking you from the shadows, you get the monster the shadows fear.
Awesome. Love it.
Can I jump in and do a shameless plug too then?
Yes, please do.
So one of the inspirations for my vampire Cassius actually is Lestat. He's kind of an amalgamation of Angel, Spike, Lestat, and Edward, which is a really odd vampire mix, but it works. And if you would like to meet Cassius, he is in my Ava Crowley Vampire Slayer series, which is a connected series to the Hunter games. You can read them as independent series, or you can read them together as one big giant universe. I am a huge vampire fan, and I grew up reading Anne Rice, so that is. And also, Brian, you said Pittsburgh. I'm a Pittsburgh girl, so I'm gonna have to go read.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? You live in Pittsburgh? Me too. Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah. I live near Station Square.
Oh wow! You're like in my neck of the woods then. I'm over in Pleasant Hills, so.
Well, there you go. All right then.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Excellent. This week in Indies, making connections. There we go. Or the Indie Connection, making connections. There we go. Fantastic. So last question for today. We get in the writing troupe, we get a lot of new writers. I would say young writers, but not just young writers, new writers in general, who ask a lot of questions, and they ask about tropes a lot. If you had a piece of advice that you were going to give a new writer about tropes in general, what would it be? And keeping them fresh, obviously. And that could be anybody.
I would say just write it, man. I tell that to everyone. How do I just write it? Just write it. And then make sure, and then if it works for you, that's all that matters, because there's always a market for something. Look, Christopher Paolini made how much money writing the inheritance cycle, and that is so trope heavy. It takes the trope of a trope of a trope of a trope, puts it all into a 5, now 6 book series. Just write it. If you write well, and I mean you have good grammar, good sentence structure, and you can have a compelling character, just write it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I think a big part of it is people get hung up on tropes. My whole thing is just be willing to defend it. Like, understand the trope well enough that there's a reason you're doing this, right? If it just kind of spills out of your head that way, odds are you're kind of running on autopilot and you're going with all of the tropes that have come before you, and there isn't a lot of original ideas in there. But when you stop and you think about, why am I doing this? Why does this matter? If you can defend it, write it. If you can't defend it, maybe there's a better way to do it.
Write it and improve on it.
Awesome.
See, I think I'm the opposite of what he said. I think that you should write the story that you want to hear and put the tropes that you like, because that's what's going to come out most naturally to begin with, before you try to reinvent the wheel. Like, if you're just starting out, write the tropes that you know and the story that you want to hear, and then build off of those.
Yeah, I think my advice, which is my advice pretty much for everything, is read. Like, read, and you'll see the tropes that work. You'll see how tropes work, how they don't. Like, you come across a story like that really just was so redundant. Or you'll read things like, oh, I like how they did that trope. They kind of brought a new idea to it. So I think reading, I mean, as a writer, you should be reading every single day. That's always my advice, and you'll very quickly see what does and doesn't work.
Awesome. Thank you. And Ariel?
So I actually do work with some younger writers, some children who want to publish books. And one of the things I tell them all the time about tropes, because I do get asked about it, is in order, sometimes I think people think about tropes, they don't think about them necessarily as, vehicles in your story, but as like the story itself. So the way that I'd explained it to them was I try to tell them to look around them, not just in the books they read, but in the shows that they watch or the movies that they go see. A lot of times we are taking in those tropes without realizing that that's what they are. So I always try to say, draw from some of those things that you like, kind of like Juliet mentioned and Tiffany mentioned, because those are what's going to naturally come out. But if you want to go more into depth with them, I really highly recommend the Tropes Thesaurus, because it has everything in here, and it kind of pinpoints the things that are, the main parts of those tropes. And then sometimes seeing it in front of you, for instance, I'll say like the amnesia trope, what do you have in the amnesia trope? How is it broken down? And then sometimes you can kind of go in and as you're reading that go, oh, well, what if I did this? So I like to say, check out everything around you, not just the books that you're reading, but the shows that you're watching, the movies that you're watching, and think about how you would do it differently.
Excellent. Thank you. That's great advice. Hopefully some newer writers, some younger writers will take a look at, or take a listen, and they'll be able to go ahead and use that advice. So let's go get our comments. Tiffany loved Vampire Chronicles. I know, a lot of people are very much fans of those. So
Vampire Chronicles, but Tales of the Body Thief, I was like, all right, I had to tap out after Tales of the Body Thief.
I have every single book she's ever written, even under her other names, like she's my spirit animal now. So I love her.
But it's funny about Anne Rice, because I am old enough to remember when it happened. and how outraged everybody was because all of the vampire tropes got upended, and suddenly, even though it always had been, vampirism was a substitute for transgressive sex, and it was all of these things that nobody had mentioned before. And now you can't find a straight vampire who's afraid of garlic because the tropes have all been
Well, to
the
be
tropes
fair,
have all been
Rex
completely
Reed is the
unending.
straight vampire, but he doesn't care about garlic.
Well, but
But
there's
no,
you know,
I
there's
get your point.
variations on a
But no, you're right.
there's
You're right.
variations on a theme, right?
Right.
But
No, you're right.
every once in a while, the tropes undergo this. Like I wrote Johnny Liking because I think werewolves are having a moment. I'm not a fan of everything that's happening in the Liken trend, but a lot of the werewolf tropes are getting upended, and so there's cool stuff happening.
Right. I was reminded very recently that Salem's Lot, Stephen King's vampire novel, didn't come out that much, like a year before Anne Rice brought out her,
Right.
the Interview with a Vampire. So it's interesting how those two are different and the direction that vampirism went. Speaking of tropes, right? Okay. It's time, everyone, for the epilogue.
Oh boy.
So we're going to play 20 questions. You're trying to figure out which literary figure I am. And it's not the vampire Lestat. Just so, but we're going to do yes or no questions. So you get 20 yes or no questions. Let me go ahead and make sure I have a notepad here so I can count. Here we go. Okay, so we'll start with Ariel. We'll go with you. You each get one question, then the last 15 questions are, free fire.
Okay.
So Ariel, go ahead.
I'm gonna say, is yes or no questions, right? So is it present tense? Like, is your story
No.
your present tense? Okay.
No. Wayne?
Is the character female?
Yes. Juliet?
Is the character alive?
Yes. Brian?
Are you based in the continental United States?
No. Tiffany?
Is she over the age of 30?
Yes. All right. So just one at a time. Throw me a question. Got 15 left.
Are you the chosen one?
That is not typical of this particular genre, so I will say no.
Would the genre be considered historical fiction?
Oh, that's interesting. So I'm going to vary. So I'll say technically no, but there are historical parallels. I feel like that's worth it. So.
Well, I'm glad I could clarify that for everybody.
Are you a human character?
Yes.
Is the character a heroine?
I'd say so.
Has a series or a film been based around her?
So a television series or movie film?
Yeah.
No. Although I suspect some people would love that if they did.
Indeed.
Do you have any special powers?
So either supernatural or somehow enhanced powers, right? That's what you're looking at?
Yeah.
No.
Hmm.
9 questions
Is
left.
she European based?
I'm going to say yes.
That was sufficiently vague.
Do you have a sidekick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really don't like this game.
That is tough.
This is very tactical.
Are you a comic book character?
I'm sorry?
Comic book character?
No.
Crap, I almost had a guess, but that would be
That ruled it out. I know you too. Is it based on a real person?
Again, well, I guess technically yes, it is, but probably not exactly the way you're thinking, right? This is yeah. So. But the parallels are sufficient for me to say yes, it is based on a real person. Though this is entirely fictional.
Is this person royalty?
Eventually. Eventually nobility. So that's close enough. 4 questions left.
It's too much brain work on a Sunday. I'm like overthinking it.
Yeah, I know Pink read good.
How many questions left?
Like
4.
4.
Oh, 4.
4. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Is this person white? Caucasian?
Is this person
Caucasian? Huh? Is this person Caucasian?
Yeah, I think technically yes, they are.
Are we going to want to open a vein when we find out who it is?
No, I don't think so.
Well, that's
subjective. But I'll give you that. So 3 questions left.
I drawing. I think like
I'm trying to think of like what we didn't ask, and it's like
seriously.
You haven't asked anything about genre yet, just as a hint.
That's true. What genre does she exist in?
Is it sci-fi?
It's on the yes or no question. Yes, it is sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
There we go. Okay. Does she?
It is a book character. It is a book character, by the way. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go, Brian.
Does she have an epic romantic partner?
An epic romantic partner?
Yeah. Is it like their romance? Is it okay?
Yeah. No. She replaces one dude with another dude because the one dude dies. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, last question. And then everybody will get a guess.
So since it's sci-fi, is it based solely on Earth?
No. Okay. Ariel, what's your guess?
I have no guess because I don't really read too much sci-fi, so I wouldn't even be able to fabulate a guess.
Okay. Wayne?
I got nothing. I don't read much sci-fi either, and depends on how you define it. For a while I was thinking of, and this is the most white boy answer you're going to hear today, the chick from Outlander.
No, it's not that.
The chick from Outlander. Yeah.
That is technically
Claire?
sci-fi.
Is that her name, Claire?
Yeah, I had to tap out on Outlander.
I haven't seen Outlander. I have the book. I won't watch it until I read the book. So.
Yeah, I had to tap out.
Juliet, what's your guess?
Seriously? I'll say Princess Leia just because I can't think of anything else. I was originally with Joan of Arc, but then you said it wasn't. So I was like, nope. So yeah, I don't know.
No. Brian?
Oh Jesus.
I can
I
only
heard-
say that's wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, if it's not wrong, you're going to make a lot of people very upset because you're challenging their faith. I have no real, because everything that I want to guess doesn't work. Nope, because she has superpowers. What's her face from The Expanse? The Martian girl from The Expanse.
No, but that's a fantastic guess.
Yay!
Tiff?
I don't know. I don't really read sci-fi, so I know you said it wasn't a
No.
TV show, but I'm going to guess one of the people from 100.
No.
Can't
No,
think
that's
of
another
her
good
name.
guess, but no. It's and I realize that for next time we won't use science fiction or something like that, but no, it's Honor Harrington, David Evans' Honor Harrington, who is
Who?
technically based on Horatio Nelson, so technically based on a historical character. So,
I would not.
all right,
Who was it?
Honor Harrington.
From what?
I have no clue who that is.
Mm-mm.
What's that from?
Honor Harrington she's got her own series, David Weber's Honor Harrington series.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have no clue.
We would have never
See,
gotten
this
this.
is
We
the
could have asked a
problem
million
with
questions and we still would have come up with Zip.
This is the problem with
Gotcha.
If it's not your geekdom, you have no frame of reference.
Honestly, I can't lie. Ever since I went back for my MBA, my reading has just.
yeah, I get it. So next time, I probably we'll think that through. But good job, everyone. Those were good. Those were really good questions. So very good job with that. All right. Before we wrap up,
Good guess.
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I know. I said I happily accept my consolation prize of good guess.
Yeah. No, that was a very good guess. So this week coming up on Go Indie Now, we have Conversation and Cocktail, and I believe that's tomorrow. Our own Vanessa Junta, or Gunta. I should know this by now. We'll be having a sit down with multiverse guest Lauren Brown. I'm very much looking forward to that. And also this week, familiar face, Juliet Rose will be having First Time for Everything live this Wednesday, the 17th, with AJ Mulligan. So absolutely tune in for that as well. I was on First Time for Everything this week, and it was a fantastic job. So
It's fun. Yeah.
highly recommend.
It's a fun show to do.
Oh yeah. All right. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Tiffany, tell everybody where they can find you on the interwebs.
You can find me on all socials at Books by Tiffany Vega. And you can find the publishing company, Outsider Publishing Company, on all socials as well. If you are looking for new ways to get submissions on short stories, we are open at taking short stories. And we do have our Christmas Chaos coming out in November, and it's a short story collection of Christmas terror tales.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Brian?
You can't really find me anywhere. I'm kind of doing a retooling as it stands. You can find me on Facebook. I probably suggest shooting me a message first, because if I don't know you, I don't blindly accept friend requests anymore. If you want to read my silly word salad that can sometimes be considered books, just go to Amazon, search Brian Tan, BryanTann, and my books will come up. Read them and message me and tell me if you hate them or if you love them. Maybe I'll be able to come up with something new someday.
Thank you so much, Brian, and my apologies for missing you at the beginning.
That's okay. It happens. I'm forgettable.
Juliet?
Yeah, you can find me on authorjulietrose.com, on all social media as author Juliet Rose. And then otherwise you can find me, and I'll be at Multiverse this coming weekend. And then other than that, you can find me crying in the corners. I try to get this book ready for publication. And I'll see everybody who's there at Multiverse on Saturday.
Awesome. I will also be there. Wayne?
Hey, I'm Wayne Trammell, WayneTrammell.com, W Trammell at on Twitter, X, Elon's Vanity Project, whatever they're calling it this week. And also, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, but don't bother because I haven't figured out how to use it. And there you go.
Thank you so much. And Ariel, my fellow person who also had mic issues today. Glad we were able to get it straightened out.
Technical difficulties, like I live for it, right? You can find me at ariel-dawn.com. You can also find me, I'm in the middle of kind of redoing my Instagram, so I do have a bookstagram where I do book reviews, and it's called Wrong Turn Romance, and I'm officially branching off of that to create an Ariel Dawn Instagram. So, and that is instagram.com/arieldawn5. I am also less_than3 on TikTok, and I'm pretty much everywhere you buy books. So
awesome. Thank you. And I want to thank everyone for being here. Thank everyone for putting up with our technical issues today. It was mostly my fault, but I'll blame technology, not myself. Yeah, I am SM Hillman. You can find me here, occasional host or panelist. Also, I host Zero Means You're Dead. I promise there's a new Zero Means You're Dead coming out. Doing Hit the Dice here in Goni now as well. We will be, I think, live. I don't think because we're always live for the show. We will be live from Multiverse next week. So you'll see Joe and myself at Multiverse. And hopefully we can bring in some other familiar faces for you all. So thank you all for being here. Thanks for my wonderful guests who did a great job under duress. Thank for Deep South Con, which was a great convention. And it's always time. Hold on. Here we go. It's always time to go indie now.